Hello everyone. This is the 22nd part of the story, I'm Voldemort. Chapter 153, Testing Powers Again. With Null dead and gone, the shadow dimension was open for the taking. Tom wasn't sure whether he should actually take it though. At least not yet, that is. Will it take time to gain control over the entire shadow dimension? Is he even strong enough to take control of it? How does he take control of it in the first place? These are questions that he has to ask both Lady Death and the Ancient One. For now, he just wants to return home. It's been a long and tiring day. Death, can you guard this dimension for me? I want to take control of it as Null did, but I'm unsure how and it's been a long day. Tom asked. No problem, Master. Anyone that dares enter the shadow dimension will be killed immediately. Lady Death said happily. Well, if the person isn't evil, give them a chance to leave peacefully. If they don't take that chance, feel free to dispose of them as you see fit. Tom says as he doesn't want anyone getting killed for simply entering the place. Alright, as for taking over this dimension, you should speak to your mother about that. She will know what to do and can help you with it. Lady Death's advised. Okay, sounds good. Can you send me back to Tintagel Castle? I promised that I wouldn't do anything like this without letting Druella know, and I just broke that promise. I also promised my mother that I wouldn't undo the block on my animagus form without consulting her, so I should go fill her in and apologize as well. Tom says with dread in his voice. She should understand though. Just think of returning and you'll appear where you were in the mortal realm. Remember that if you want to see me again, just think of meeting me and your body will teleport to me. Lady Death reminds Tom. I won't forget. I'll see you soon, Death. Tom says goodbye. So long, Master. I'll be waiting for our next encounter. Lady Death says seductively as Tom disappears. Appearing in Tintagel Castle's vault, Tom sees the dust from the remains of the Deathly Hallows at his feet. Remembering what Death said about him having all of the powers of the Hallows, Tom decides to give that a test. Anything to delay the impending lecture he will receive from both of the women in his life. Thinking carefully, Tom thought of the best person to summon from the afterlife. He didn't want to summon his mother again, as he would feel obligated to disclose his relationship with the Ancient One. He didn't know how she would react and truthfully didn't want to deal with the fallout if she were to be upset. Finding the perfect test subject, Tom left the vault so the location of the Tesseract/Space Stone isn't leaked. Once he was in a different area of the castle, Tom willed a ghost to appear before him. A translucent figure of a bald man in black and green wizarding robes appeared in front of Tom. Looking around the room in surprise, the bald man looked interested and alarmed at the same time. Where am I? Who are you? He says as his eyes land on Tom. My name is Tom Riddle. I'm the current heir Slytherin and soon to be Lord Slytherin, as I'll be graduating from Hogwarts next year. Tom introduces himself with a small bow. Hearing Tom's introduction, the bald ghost's stare intensified as he eyed Tom up and down. My heir, huh? I didn't think I would ever get one with all of the restrictions I placed on the ring. Salazar Slytherin said appraisingly. How did you summon me? I've become the Master of Death. Tom says, surprising the ghost before him immensely. That children's story was true? Salazar asked with his eyes wide and his mouth open in shock. Yeah, pretty much. I summoned you to test if my powers are working and they seem to be. Tom says, slightly offending Salazar. You summoned me here to test your powers? Not to speak to your ancestor or ask for advice maybe? Salazar asked with a raised eyebrow. Nope. Thanks for helping me though. Tom says and unsummons his ancestor. Salazar disappeared with the most disgruntled expression Tom has ever seen. it almost made him break out in laughter. Although he sent Salazar away, Tom's just messing with him. He plans on resummoning his ancestor again to see if he would be willing to teach him. I'm sure he knows some spells that have disappeared throughout time. Maybe he has some secret stashes of books laying around. Tom thought as he went to find a mirror. Making his way to the nearest bathroom, Tom found a floor-to-ceiling mirror to test his next power on. Willing himself invisible, Tom disappeared completely. Not only did he vanish, but Tom also couldn't be found with any type of magic either. The only thing that could give him away was sound and smell, yet that could be easily fixed with a spell or two. The last power he received from the Hallows is his fusion with the Elder Wand. Due to becoming the avatar of Manasa, Tom's magical power has already gone through a major increase. So much so, that he wouldn't be able to tell if it increased again. Although that is the case, Tom could still test one more thing. With the fusion of the Elder Wand, Tom should be able to do any spell wandlessly. Since he hasn't mastered all spells wandlessly, Tom decided to do one of the hardest spells he knows without a wand. Expecto Patronum. Tom calls and an ethereal thestral appears. Walking up to the thestral and giving it a head pat, Tom found that it looks stronger and more vibrant than before. Hee hee, it works! Tom exclaimed as he looks over his Patronus. Did you get stronger from the avatar ritual or because I'm the master of death? His thestral neighs as if to answer, but Tom has no idea what its reply meant. He just continued patting its head, wasting time before he has to return to Camartage. It's time to face the music. Chapter 154. With nothing else that can fuel his procrastination, Tom unsummoned his Patronus and opened a portal to Camartage. As soon as he stepped into his bedroom, he could already hear the crunching of potato chips. Only one person would eat potato chips in his bedroom. Hey, Mom. Tom says with a hopeful smile. Don't hey, Mom me. You broke your promise. The Ancient One said menacingly. Yes, but I can explain. Tom says with his hands held up to show he was caught. Explain quickly. Because this isn't a laughing matter. That seal on your animagus form was protecting this planet from a very evil god. She answers with a lecture. I know, but everything is okay. Just calm down and I'll explain. Tom replies. The Ancient One merely raises an eyebrow and awaits her son's explanation. Earlier today, she suddenly felt the seal on Tom's animagus form disappear. She tried to open a portal to his location, but it would always fail. After a few minutes, she expected the Earth to be under attack by an angry symbiote god, but nothing happened. Everything was as peaceful as normal, leaving the Ancient One confused. Tom went on to explain how he became the Master of Death and tasked Lady Death with killing Null. You're telling me that you became the Master of Death itself, and then proceeded to order her to kill Null? His mother asked with a completely stunned expression. Yeah, pretty much. I had her unbind my animagus form to draw him out. I'm sorry I didn't consult you as I promised, but it was the best choice for the moment. Tom explained and apologized to his mother. I forgive you, but I want a favor in return. The Ancient One decrees with a shark-like smile. Huh? Why do you need a favor? If you ever need anything, all you have to do is ask. Tom says seriously. Well, you're probably stronger than me at this point. Not as skilled and experienced though, so don't get a big head. His mother says, knowing that a favor from a powerful being is the highest form of currency, especially since Tom now has control over Lady Death. I give you unlimited favors. You're my mother. Just ask me for help if you need it. Tom says seriously as he stares unwaveringly at the Ancient One. The Ancient One just sat there stunned for a moment. She wasn't fully used to the parent and child relationship they now have and didn't think that he would react like that. She thought that she would weasel a favor out of him, hoping to use it later on in order to get Lady Death to remove any future annoyance that may appear. The Ancient One was shocked by his proclamation and couldn't think of a single word to say. Speaking of favors, I've come up with a way to deal with your immortality and Dormammu problem. Tom states, shocking his mother even further. Her eyes go wide, as she remembers the time Tom announced that he would help her. The Ancient One has been tapping into the dark dimension to keep her going for a long time now, and it's a miracle that Dormammu hasn't noticed. Dormammu is a primordial interdimensional entity who wields apocalyptic levels of supernatural power and is the ruler of the dark dimension. The fact that Dormammu hasn't noticed the siphoning of power from his own dimension is impressive for the Ancient One. Are you going to sick Lady Death on Dormammu as well? She asked with an upturned eyebrow. No, I've become immortal thanks to death, and I now have the ability to grant others immortality as well. Tom answers, alarming his mother. Wait, you aren't going to remain this age forever, are you? She asks as Tom's body hasn't fully matured yet. No, I told her to stop my aging when I'm 26. Tom answers as he had the same worry. If I were to make you immortal, can you cut ties with the dark dimension on your own, or should I have death do it? I can do it myself. She answered after a moment to thought. All right, prepare everything you need and let me know when you're ready. I'll contact Death and have her make you immortal. If that's what you want, that is. Tom looked at his mother expectantly. If that's what I want? The Ancient One asked herself out loud. Yeah, if you didn't want immortality, I would understand. Don't get me wrong, I'd be sad and miss you, but at the end of the day, it's your decision. Maybe you should take some time to think it over. Tom said as his mother became lost in thought. Does she want to live forever? No matter how much she thought about it, the answer was no, but that didn't mean she didn't want to stick around for a while longer. Thinking over her choices, the Ancient One left the room in a daze. All of her problems seemed to be handled. If Dormammu were to cause trouble, Tom would have Lady Death take care of it. Soon, she won't even be connected to Dormammu at all. Lastly, her son is becoming a strong enough entity to take over her position. Even her future problems are being handled by Tom now. Maybe it's time she retired? Maybe Tom should be the Sorcerer Supreme instead of Doctor Strange? She thought. While she was thinking over her choices, Tom was too tired to think about anything else. He didn't want her to die, of course. Though he also didn't want his mother to make a decision she would regret. If she felt that her time spent on this earth was enough, Tom would be heartbroken, but he would understand. Sighing into his pillow, Tom drifted off to sleep, knowing he would have to visit Druella in the morning and tell her about what happened as well. Chapter 155. When Tom woke up the next day, he did his usual routine and went straight to Druella. He promised not to do anything dangerous without at least telling her and proceeded to break that promise almost immediately. As he arrived, Tom was greeted happily by Lady Rosier and went off to find Druella. She was awake and reading a book in her room. Walking into the room, Tom just spewed out everything he told the Ancient One the other day. Druella was amazed at what happened and annoyed that he broke his promise. Why didn't you just tell me this yesterday? She asked as he was there before all of this happened. Truthfully, I forgot. Tom says, and Druella just stares at him as if he were the biggest idiot she's ever encountered. You forgot. She yells after a long moment of silence. How could you forget something so important? Well, a lot has been going on lately. Tom says with a shrug. Druella couldn't help but agree with Tom's excuse. A lot has happened. He became famous for killing Grindelwald, became the avatar for some snake god, he's going to receive a medal soon, and now he has become the Master of Death. All of that, and on the same day he became Master of Death, Tom sent Death to kill a god. Also he could take over another dimension and use his sealed animagus form again. Tom's life has been hectic lately, which is why Druella has decided to give him a break this once. Fine, I'll let this go, but did you say you're immortal now? Druella asked as she was too angry before to process that bit of information. Yeah. Tom nods and Druella just stares at him. What about me? Am I just going to grow old while you stay the same? She looks at him in horror. Although they haven't been too intimate with one another, Druella has found that she truly loves Tom. She's found herself daydreaming about spending the rest of her life with him many times. Thoughts of having children and what to name them have passed through her mind multiple times. Especially in the wizarding world's older type of society, where it is normal to have children in your late teens. Her mother has been hounding her about wedding dates and grandchildren ever since she started dating Tom. Now, that life she's been dreaming about and hoping for will be ruined. Although she wouldn't mind a permanently young and handsome life partner, she doesn't want to be the one that grows old and dies, leaving Tom behind. Soon, thoughts of how to become immortal appeared in her mind. She wanted nothing more than to find a way to spend eternity with Tom. Without her fully noticing, Druella started hyperventilating as her mind raced to horrible places. Suddenly, arms wrapped around her and squeezed her tightly. Her breathing and mind calmed as she felt the warmth of the man she loved. Calm down, Drew. Everything is going to be all right. I'm the Master of Death, remember? I can make anyone I want immortal with a single command. You won't have to grow old, die, and leave me behind, as long as that's what you want. Tom says soothingly as he kisses her forehead. You promise? She sniffles into his chest with a small amount of hope in her voice. Of course, all I have to do is give an order to Death and you will live forever with me. Tom assures her as he hugs her a bit tighter for support. Do you want to spend forever with just me? Druella asks the tiniest voice he's ever heard from her. Tom freezes in place and looks down at Druella with a confused expression. Of course I want to. If I didn't, do you think I would tell you about my immortality? Tom asks. No, but you've only been with me. I'm sure there are prettier girls out there. Not to mention we haven't even had sex yet. Do you find me unattractive? Druella voices all of her insecurities. Huh? Why would I want any other girls when I have you? You're the most beautiful woman I've ever laid eyes on, and what's this about us not having sex? I've been waiting for you to be ready. Are you ready? Tom asks as his hands trail down her body. Yes, I've been ready, but just couldn't muster the courage to say it. Druella says as she feels his hands land on her butt. So, I've been enduring and holding myself back for no reason at all? Tom asks, the sexual frustration clear in his tone. He's been going to sleep without satisfying himself for a while now, and if he did satisfy himself, it was with one of his hands. Yet, now he knows that Druella has been ready this whole time. He could have done exactly what he wanted ages ago. With a heated glance towards Druella, Tom flicked his hand towards the door, locking and barring anyone from entering. He then did the same towards the walls, blocking all sound from leaving the room. It would be funny to see Lord Rosier's reaction to the sounds from his daughter's room, but Tom didn't want to torture the man. As soon as Druella saw Tom's actions, her heartbeat quickened. This is what she was hoping for. It scared her, but it also excited her at the same time. I'll do my best to be gentle, but we won't be leaving this room for the rest of the day. Tom said in a deep gravely voice. He stared down at Druella like a hungry wolf eyeing its prey. She could do nothing but nod her head as Tom started tearing her clothes off, and threw her onto the bed. Chapter 156, The Rice Has Been Cooked. Tom and Druella spent the entire day and night locked inside her bedroom. Thanks to the few books Tom has found on sex magic, Tom and Druella were able to go at it almost non-stop. The only time they had to stop was for food, water, and bathroom breaks. Food and water were delivered by Rosier house elves, which may have not been the brightest idea. Tom and Druella didn't know it, but those elves reported everything back to Lord and Lady Rosier. The parents now knew for sure that Tom and Druella were having sex. Lord Rosier was cursing up a storm as he wanted nothing more than to slaughter Tom like a pig. Thoughts of gutting him and watch the blood drain from his body swirled in his mind. Although, that will never happen. Lady Rosier was humming and skipping around the house. Her daughter was finally a woman and is one step closer to locking down her man for good. Next is marriage, and then she can start hounding her even harder about kids. Although, things don't have to happen in that order. She wouldn't mind getting grandkids earlier than planned. Although it's looked down on in their society to have children out of wedlock, no one would dare speak up against Tom Riddle, the Slayer of Grindelwald. Especially after he receives his Order of Merlin, first class. When she heard that her lord and daughter needed food, she personally instructed the elves on what to make for them. She would personally deliver it as well, but her daughter may not react well to her mother interrupting their private time. On the next morning, Tom woke up with a naked Druella draped over his left side. The room still smelled heavily of sex. With a wave of his hand, the windows opened and the smell in the room began to lessen. Although he used sex magic to keep them going far past human limits, even Tom was sore from yesterday's activities. The wind flowing into the room woke Druella from her slumber. As she opened her eyes, the first thing she saw was Tom smiling at her. "I hate you," Druella says as she feels her entire body aching. If even Tom feels sore, Druella has it much worse. Tom has a body enhanced by an avatar ritual, while Druella has nothing but a normal human body. Not only that, but it was her first time as well, so it was extra painful for her. At least it wasn't painful in the moment, Druella thought as she remembers the mind-blowing sex they had. Sex magic is crazy. Everything aches. We should have been more reserved during our first time. Druella slaps Tom's chest for doing this to her. "Mimsy," Tom calls. "Pop." "Master called?" Mimsy appears happily. "Can you please get me and Druella a pain relief potion each, please?" Tom asks and Mimsy nods her head. "Pop. Pop." Mimsy disappeared and appears again with 2 vials of a disgusting green-looking potion grasped in her hands. "Thank you, Mimsy," Tom says as he grabs the potions, handing one to Druella. "Pop." Mimsy pops away once again, leaving the couple alone in bed. Druella snatches the potion from his hand and hesitantly uncorks the vial. A putrid smell wafts out of the vial and into her nostrils. Druella's face scrunches in disgust as she holds her nose and downs the disgusting potion in one gulp. The pain that once spread throughout her body eases slowly and disappears. The aching of her body was replaced with a numbness. It's a weird feeling, but at least it's better than pain. Tom already took his potion. He was used to it already, as he would take them whenever he was sore from training too hard. "How about we spend the day in bed again? Except this time we won't be doing any strenuous exercise," Tom says with a wink. Time passes and the date of Tom's awards ceremony arrived. The Ancient One still hasn't decided on whether to become immortal or not. Tom wasn't worried about it though. She has plenty of time before her death in the movie, and Tom was positive she would come to a decision long before then. As for Druella, she didn't need any time at all to come to her decision. She wanted to be immortal and spend eternity with the man she loves. While spending the day in bed after their first time together, Tom asked Druella if she wanted to be immortal. She needed no time to give her answer and said yes immediately. "Since you're making me immortal so we can spend forever together, is this also a marriage proposal?" she asked at the time. "I guess if I'm going to spend eternity with you, we might as well make this official," Tom says after a moment's thought. "I'll have to find a ring for you though." As soon as Tom answered, Druella squealed delightfully and smashed her lips onto his with tears in her eyes. Tom soon found a wedding ring that may have belonged to the wife of Salazar Slytherin, as it was stored in Slytherin Manor. When Druella told her mother about the engagement, she was over the moon with the whole situation. Her father wasn't happy, but he gave up being angry about their relationship. He can't control his daughter anymore, especially since she's dating their lord. On the morning of the award ceremony, Tom arrived at Rosier Manor in a new tuxedo. He still refuses to wear wizarding robes when he doesn't need to. Seeing Druella, who is dressed in a beautiful black muggle dress, Tom and the Rosiers flew to the ministry together for the ceremony. Chapter 157 Ceremony, Part 1. Arriving in the Floo entrance hall of the ministry, the place was completely empty. Everyone was outside waiting for the award ceremony to begin. The Floo entrance of the ministry is a grand hall filled with fireplaces. On a normal day at the ministry, these fireplaces would be constantly lit with ministry workers and citizens alike coming and going. Today is special though. Today is the day that Tom Riddle would be arriving. The ministry shut down access to the Floo entrances to everyone except for Tom and anyone that comes along with him. A group of people were awaiting Tom and his guests' arrival in the Floo hall. These people are high-level members of the ministry. At the forefront of this group is an overweight middle-aged woman with dark hair. This is Hortensia Millifut, the Minister of Magic. Beside her are two tough-looking bodyguards along with other guards spread throughout the hall. She is still annoyed about Tom's refusal to support her in the next election. That, along with the closeness she has seen between Tom and Lord Black in the media, has caused her to be deeply displeased with Tom. Although she is angry with him, Hortensia can't just act against him. Especially since Tom was approved for the Order of Merlin, First Class. Seeing as she can't do anything, the minister decided to do her best to woo Tom with all she has. Hence the shut-down Floo entrances and the welcoming party. She even spent a major amount of time making sure the ceremony went smoothly and was as extravagant as wizardly possible. She knew there has to be some sort of connection between Riddle and Lord Black, and only hoped to show that she is worth backing as well. Most would say that since Tom is still a student at Hogwarts, he isn't very wise to the political world, but Hortensia would disagree. One doesn't gain so much power and prestige without knowing a thing or two. The ministry's welcome party all looked at Tom and Druella's muggle garb and held in their sneers. All of them looked down on any sort of muggle fashion, but would never voice their bias to Tom or Druella. Tom is far too powerful either magically or politically for them to anger. At the end of the day, the powerful get to do as they wish. "Hello, Mr. Riddle." Hortensia greets happily with the brightest smile she could muster. "I'm so happy to be able to welcome you to your award ceremony. I've personally made sure the ceremony will go perfectly for you." "Thank you, Minister. How have you been since our last meeting?" Tom greets back in a friendly manner. "I've been well, thank you," she replies as her eyes roam towards Tom's company. "I see you've brought guests. Hello, Lord and Lady Rosier. It's good to see you outside the Wisengamot." The Rosiers put on the fakest smiles Tom has ever seen on them. It was quite comical to watch them act this way and greet the minister. "Is this your daughter? I don't believe we've met." Hortensia's eyes land on Druella next. The Rosiers were about to answer, but Tom decided to cut in. "Yes, this is Druella Rosier, my fiancée. Tom reveals as he grabs her hand and holds it forward to show off the engagement ring. The hall grows silent as the welcoming committee were stunned by Tom's proclamation. Anyone that were to wed Tom Riddle would become the politically strongest woman, or man if he swung that way, in the wizarding world. The name Riddle is already the most known last name in the wizarding world. Once she becomes Druella Riddle, she would have a lot of political clout to throw around. Every lord, lady, and high-standing member of the ministry was hoping to wed their daughters to Tom. Many of them here today were hoping to use this opportunity to talk him into marriage contracts. It seems that chance has long since flown out the window. Before introducing Druella as his fiancée, they treated her and her family as they usually would, but now that the cat's out of the bag, Druella, and the Rosiers by extension, hold a lot more sway than they used to. Especially when the public finds out about the engagement. I'm happy to hear about your engagement. Is it a recent development? The minister asks happily, fishing for information. Yes, he proposed a few weeks ago. Druella replies with the same fake smile as her parents. Of course, Tom is the only one that sees them as fake. He's spent enough time with Druella and her family to know this. This is nice and all, but is the ceremony supposed to start soon? Tom voices his concern. Everyone turns to check the large clock in the Flaw Hall, and their eyes widen. You're right. We should get moving. It's almost time to begin. Hortensia says and starts rushing everyone out of the hall. Please, follow me. Tom and the Rosiers are led through the ministry and to the main entrance. Throughout their trip through the ministry, Tom didn't see a single soul. The place was empty. When they arrived at the front entrance, the minister turned around and addressed Tom. Wait here. I'll go and introduce you and you'll come out and accept the award. I'll then leave the podium and you can make your acceptance speech, all right? The minister asks and receives a nod in return. Okay, wish me luck. As Hortensia opened the doors to step outside, Tom got a brief glimpse of an endless sea of people along with the loud bustling of the crowd. This marks the end of part 22 of the story, I'm Voldemort. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe the video to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.